Ryan Giggs is one of the most iconic names in the history of football and synonymous with longevity, loyalty, and genius on the pitch. In this first part, we will explore the beginning of his career, from his first steps in the sport to the moment he began to shine with the Manchester United jersey. Born on November 29, 1973, in Cardiff, Wales, Ryan Joseph Giggs showed talent from an early age. As a child, he moved to Manchester with his family, where his love for football grew. He was known in the neighborhood for his speed, dribbling, and natural ability with the ball at his feet. His first contact with organized football was at Dean's Youth Club, where he quickly caught the attention of scouts. But it was at the age of 14 that his life changed forever. During a youth tournament, Alex Ferguson, Manchester United's manager, heard about a young Welsh prodigy who played like no one else. Impressed, Ferguson decided to go and watch the boy himself. And, as expected, it only took a few minutes for Giggs to gain his trust. Manchester United wasted no time in offering the youngster an apprenticeship contract. At the age of 17, on the 2nd of March, 1991, Ryan Giggs made his professional debut for Manchester United in a game against Everton. Although it was just the beginning, it was clear that the club had something special on their hands. Giggs had everything a winger needed: speed, technique, and intelligence. He didn't just take on opponents, he charmed them. With his elegant and daring style, Giggs quickly became a sensation. His style of play was reminiscent of another great United legend, George Best, and it wasn't long before comparisons began to emerge. Despite the pressure, Giggs kept his feet on the ground, focusing on developing as a player and contributing to the club's success. In the early years of the Premier League, Giggs was already a key player in Alex Ferguson's team. His runs down the left wing were unstoppable, and he quickly became one of the fans' most beloved players. He was also an inspiration to young players, showing that with talent and dedication, it was possible to achieve the greatest dreams. And so began the legend of Ryan Giggs, a player who would not only change the history of Manchester United, but would also leave his mark on world football as an example of excellence and commitment. At just 20 years old, Giggs was already an irreplaceable cog in Alex Ferguson's scheme. His pace, ball control, and vision made him a constant threat to opponents. He was not only a technically gifted player, but also a fierce competitor, willing to give everything he had to win. In the inaugural Premier League season, 1992-93, Giggs helped Manchester United win the title, ending a 26-year run without a Premier League title. Giggs quickly became synonymous with consistency. He was one of the few players who could change the course of a match with a brilliant individual piece of play. And that's exactly what he did in the 1999 FA Cup semi-final against Arsenal, when he scored one of the most memorable goals of his career. After stealing the ball in midfield, Giggs dribbled past 4 defenders before firing a powerful shot into the back of the net. It was a magical moment, a goal that not only took United to the final of the competition, but also cemented his status as one of the greatest of all time. That match was just one chapter in a historic season. In 1999, Manchester United won the treble, Premier League, FA Cup, and Champions League, a feat never before achieved by an English club. Giggs was a crucial part of that success, playing a key role in both playmaking and decisive moments. Giggs was not just an individual talent. He was the embodiment of United's collective spirit. He understood that to achieve greatness, the team came first. This was reflected in his willingness to adapt to changing tactics, the evolution of the game, and, eventually, to his own aging. While his teammates came and went, Giggs remained, the link between different generations of Manchester United players. He was not just a player, he was a quiet leader, someone who inspired with his tireless work, professionalism, and love of the game. And so, throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, Ryan Giggs established himself as one of the greatest players in world football. He was not just the maestro on the left wing, he was the soul of one of the most successful clubs in history. While other players succumbed to time or lack of adaptation, Giggs proved that longevity in the sport is a combination of talent, discipline, and intelligence. In the early 2000s, Giggs remained one of Manchester United's leading lights. His pace was still impressive, but as time went on, he began to adapt his style of the game. From an explosive winger who would leave opponents behind with his dribbling and sprinting, Giggs gradually became a maestro in midfield, using his experience and vision of the game to dictate the pace of matches. This transition was not only a reflection of his maturity as a player, but also of his dedication off the pitch. Giggs was known for his discipline in keeping his body in shape. He incorporated practices such as yoga into his training routine, something unusual for players of his generation, to improve his flexibility and prolong his career. He understood that to continue competing at a high level, it was necessary to take care of both the body and the mind. Between 2007 and 2011, Giggs showed that his relevance in football knew no bounds. He continued to be a key player for Manchester United in big moments, such as the 2008 Champions League final against Chelsea. Giggs converted the decisive penalty in the shootout, securing the club's third European title and adding another glorious chapter to his career. In addition to his memorable performances, Giggs also stood out as a leader in the dressing room. He was a role model for young talents coming through the ranks, such as Cristiano Ronaldo and Wayne Rooney. His teammates admired not only his skill, but also his work ethic and winning mentality. Giggs was the bridge between different generations, connecting Manchester United from the 1990s to the 2010s. His consistency was also unprecedented. Giggs had scored in every Premier League season since its inception, a record that epitomizes his incredible regularity. He was never just a spectator. He was always involved in the team's most decisive moments, whether with a goal, an assist, or a crucial play. As he got older, many expected Giggs to slow down, but he continued to amaze. He became a player who understood the game perfectly, controlling space and making precise decisions. More than just an athlete, Giggs was a living legend, writing new chapters with each season. As he grew older, he turned his challenges into opportunities and remained indispensable at Manchester United. In 2011, now almost 38, Giggs continued to be a key player for Alex Ferguson. Even in an era where the Premier League was becoming increasingly physical and intense, he stood out for his tactical intelligence and keen reading of the game. His transition to central midfield was a masterstroke. There, he used his experience to organize the team, create plays, and control the pace of matches. During this period, Giggs also showed that his impact extended far beyond the pitch. He became a mentor to young players, passing on his wisdom and helping to shape the next generation of United stars. His partnership with emerging talents such as Paul Pogba in the early years of his career underlined Giggs' role as a fatherly figure at the club. Giggs also continued to write his name into the record books. In February 2013, he scored a goal against Queen's Park Rangers to become the only player to score in 21 consecutive Premier League seasons, a record that symbolized his consistency and enduring quality. He was a living example of how, with discipline and a love of the game, it was possible to defy the limitations of time. And while Giggs shone on the pitch, off it he continued to develop. He completed coaching qualifications, showing that his passion for football extended beyond just playing, but also to leading and teaching. This vision for the future was beginning to take shape, as Alex Ferguson saw him as a future manager and an extension of his philosophy within the club. But the most defining moment of this period came in 2013, when Giggs helped Manchester United win their 13th Premier League title, the last under Ferguson. For Giggs, it was a moment of reflection. He had been present for every triumph of the Ferguson era in the Premier League, from the beginning in 1992 to this final moment. He was the symbol of a golden era, the guiding light of a generation that had redefined English football. Giggs was not just a player. He was an institution within Manchester United. His achievements inspired not only the club's supporters, but football fans around the world. He was proof that passion, dedication, and reinvention were the keys to lasting success. And despite all his achievements, Ryan Giggs' journey was far from over. He continued to defy the impossible, showing that in football, age is just a number when you have the heart of a champion. As Giggs' career drew to a close, he continued to impress with record-breaking performances and further cement his Manchester United legend. In 2014, Giggs achieved a milestone: the incredible. He played his 963rd and final match for Manchester United. To put the feat in perspective, that's the equivalent of almost 2.5 decades spent at the same club, something extremely rare in modern football. And even in his final season, he maintained that level of excellence, showing that his ability on the ball and his understanding of the game were timeless. The end of Giggs' playing career came with a natural transition to a new role. During the 2013-14 season, following the departure of David Moyes, he took over as Manchester United's interim player manager, becoming the first player in the club's modern era to hold both roles. It was a historic moment. Giggs not only represented the continuity of the club's essence, but also showed that he was ready to make his mark off the pitch. Giggs' first game as a manager was emblematic. He led United to a convincing 4-0 win against Norwich City, earning a standing ovation from the Old Trafford crowd who recognized the Welshman's legacy. Although his role as caretaker manager was short-lived, it was a glimpse of what was to come in his post-playing career. In addition to his role at United, Giggs also continued to be an important figure for the Wales national team. He ended his international career in 2007, but he has never ceased to be an icon for Welsh fans. His contribution to his country's football inspired a new generation of players, including Gareth Bale, who would go on to lead Wales to historic moments in the future. Off the pitch, Giggs was also known for his involvement in social projects and in promoting football in different parts of the world. He traveled to many countries, sharing his experiences and encouraging young players to pursue their dreams. Giggs understood that his legacy went beyond trophies and records. He wanted to leave a mark on people's hearts. As Giggs prepared for his new life as a coach and ambassador for football, he looked back with pride. He had lived a fairy tale-like career, full of unforgettable moments and achievements that made him immortal in the game. But above all, Ryan Giggs was living proof that passion, dedication, and loyalty could transcend generations and leave an everlasting legacy. And so we come to the end of his playing career. But as always, football is not just about what happens on the pitch. It's about the stories it inspires. And Ryan Giggs' story lives on in every fan who had the privilege of watching him play. After hanging up his boots, Giggs didn't leave the game he loved. Instead, he dedicated himself to new challenges that proved his passion for football was unwavering. In 2014, Giggs was appointed assistant manager at Manchester United, working alongside Louis van Gaal. In this new role, he had the opportunity to pass on his wealth of experience to a new generation of players. He became a vital link between the club's glorious past and its uncertain future, helping young talents such as Marcus Rashford and Jesse Lingard find their place in the first team. Working as an assistant manager was also a time of intense learning for Giggs. He absorbed Van Gaal's tactical knowledge, broadening his vision of the game and acquiring the skills needed to be a successful coach. At the same time, he maintained his identity, the essence that always marked him out as a passionate and committed player. Giggs was also a candidate to take over as Manchester United's head coach after Van Gaal's departure in 2016. Although the club's board opted for Jose Mourinho, the respect and trust in Giggs' legacy remained intact. He was seen as an enduring symbol of United's identity, a figure who embodied the values of hard work, loyalty, and excellence. But the biggest turning point in his coaching career came in 2018, when Giggs was appointed Wales manager. For many, it was a dream come true. As a player, he had already inspired generations of Welshmen. But now he had the chance to lead the nation in an even more meaningful way. Under Giggs' leadership, Wales showed tactical evolution and promising results. He guided the team to qualification for Euro 2020, marking Wales' second consecutive appearance at the tournament. For a nation passionate about football but historically lacking in major achievements, this achievement was testament to Giggs' impact as a leader and tactician. Giggs also made it a priority to develop Welsh talent, helping players such as Daniel James and Ethan Ampadu to break through on the international stage. He understood that to leave a lasting legacy, it was necessary to build something that went beyond single victories. Ewells, a solid foundation needed to be created for the future of Welsh football. Despite the challenges, Giggs continued to prove that his love for the game was greater than any obstacle. He was not just a former legendary player. He became an example of resilience and adaptation, showing that stories of greatness do not end when you leave the pitch, they just change shape. Through his vision, hard work, and passion, Ryan Giggs became more than just a Manchester United legend. He became an archetype of leadership, a symbol that football is a continuous cycle, with each generation learning from the previous one and passing the torch on. Beyond the pitch and tactics, Giggs carved a unique place in the hearts of fans and the sporting world, cementing his relevance on multiple levels. After stepping down as Wales manager, Giggs continued to be an influential figure in world football. His experience, vision, and reputation have made him one of the game's most sought-after ambassadors. Giggs used his name and his story to promote football around the world, participating in events, speaking engagements, and programs that celebrated the game's transformative impact on people's lives. Giggs also explored the world of business. Working with former colleagues such as Gary Neville, he invested in ventures such as hotels and restaurants in the UK. These ventures reflected not only his financial success, but also his ability to diversify his career and explore new passions outside of football. In 2019, Giggs was inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame, a well-deserved recognition for his incredible contribution to the world's most competitive league. For fans, it was yet another opportunity to celebrate the career of an era-defining player whose impact lives on to this day. But for Giggs, personal achievements were never enough. He remained a staunch advocate for grassroots football, particularly in his native Wales. He was involved in programs to encourage children and young people to take up the sport, highlighting the importance of football not just as a career, but as a tool for education, health, and social bonding. Another fascinating aspect of Giggs' life was his dedication to health and well-being. One of the secrets to his longevity on the pitch was his yoga practice, which he embraced in the 2000s. After retiring from playing, he became an advocate for the importance of physical and mental well-being, sharing tips and promoting the idea that looking after your body is essential to achieving success in any area of life. Giggs also never stopped being an inspiration to Manchester United players. He was often invited to visit the club, chatting to young players and sharing stories about his career. For many, hearing advice from someone who had spent more than 20 years defending the same badge was a life-changing experience. But Giggs was not just a football legend. He was an example of resilience, evolution, and humanity. He understood that success goes beyond titles and trophies. It's about how you use your influence to positively impact the world around you. As each new generation discovers Ryan Giggs' story, his legacy becomes even more relevant. He wasn't just a footballer. He was a figure who transcended the game, leaving behind lessons of loyalty, passion, and dedication that will continue to inspire for years to come. And so, as his story as an athlete and coach continued to be written, Giggs continued to prove that his impact reached far beyond the field of play. He was, and will always be, a true living legend. Even after his playing and coaching career ended, Giggs remained active on many fronts. He continued to attend global events, sharing his story and encouraging young athletes to pursue their dreams. His presence at tournaments, football clinics, and international training programs was always well received, showing that his name still carried enormous weight in the world of sport. Giggs also became involved in social causes. He was a dedicated supporter of charities, using his fame to raise funds and awareness for important issues such as mental health and inclusion in sport. For him, football has always been a powerful platform to impact society, and he was keen to use it responsibly and meaningfully. Giggs was also a pioneer in the discussion about longevity in athletes. He publicly shared how yoga and a balanced diet were crucial to his career, inspiring other players to adopt healthy habits. He advocated that success in sport was as much about the physical as the mental, a teaching that has been widely adopted in modern football. Even away from the pitch, Giggs continued to be an inspiration for active players. He was often cited as a role model by athletes seeking longevity and consistency in their careers. His stories of dedication and professionalism were a constant reminder that greatness requires unwavering discipline and passion. At Manchester United, Giggs remained a legendary figure. His connection to the club was so strong that even years after his retirement, fans continued to chant his name at games, celebrating his loyalty and the unforgettable memories he provided. Outside of the game, Giggs also immersed himself in the literary world. He published books about his career and about health and well-being, sharing his journey in an intimate and inspiring way. These works were not just football stories, but true life lessons, reaching people who might never have set foot in a stadium. Another notable aspect of Giggs' life was his constant pursuit of learning and development. He took courses in sports management, honed his coaching skills, and explored new ways to contribute to football. He believed it was never too late to learn something new, and this mindset kept him relevant and innovative in everything he did. Giggs also valued time with his family, something he considered essential after years dedicated to football. He emphasized the importance of balancing personal and professional life, showing that even the greatest icons need moments of quiet and connection with their loved ones. The eighth part of Ryan Giggs' story shows that his impact goes far beyond the pitch. He is not only remembered as one of the greatest footballers of all time, but as a figure who used his platform to inspire, teach, and make a difference in the world. And that, for Giggs, was as important as any trophy he lifted. As brilliant as his career on the pitch was, Giggs also faced adversity in his personal life. Some controversies and difficult decisions over the years brought out the more vulnerable side of a public figure who seemed untouchable. But, as always, he demonstrated resilience in facing the consequences of his actions and seeking ways to rebuild his image and relationships. Giggs knew that the pressure of being a public figure could amplify both successes and failures. Despite this, he never shied away from his responsibilities. He acknowledged the times when he made mistakes and worked to learn from those experiences, showing that even idols are human and fallible. At the same time, he continued to get involved in projects that had a positive impact. Giggs invested even more time in supporting young athletes and working with charities. He knew that a person's legacy is not limited to difficult times, but also built on how they pick themselves up and choose to move forward. In addition, Giggs reinforced his presence as an experienced voice in modern football. He began to be regularly invited to commentate matches and participate in debates about the future of the sport. With his unique perspective, accumulated over years of experience, he brought valuable insights that helped fans and young players better understand the complexities of the game. Giggs also gave more space to strengthening his relationship with Wales. Despite the challenges of coaching the national team, he remained a tireless advocate for Welsh football and continued to be an inspiration to all who followed him. He believed his role extended beyond the pitch, helping to shape the future of the game in his homeland. Another significant aspect was Giggs' ability to reconnect with former teammates and friends. He would often attend Manchester United reunions, reminiscing about the glory days spent with players such as Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, and David Beckham. These occasions were a celebration of all they had achieved together, and reinforced how essential camaraderie was to success in the game. Reflecting on his life and career also made him appreciate his journey even more. He shared messages of resilience, loyalty, and the importance of learning from life's ups and downs. His story has come to be told not only as that of a legendary player, but as that of a man who faced challenges, fell, got up, and continued to strive to be better. Ultimately, the ninth part of Giggs' life shows us that greatness lies not only in the trophies won, but in how we deal with adversity and how we choose to move forward. He was more than a football star. He was an example that life, like sport, is made up of moments of overcoming and constant learning. Ryan Giggs, we celebrate the lasting impact he had not only on football, but also on the lives of all those who followed him throughout his career. NGO of his journey. Giggs is not just remembered as one of the greatest Premier League players or a Manchester United icon, but as a man whose career, through all its ups and downs, inspired millions to pursue their dreams, overcome challenges, and believe in the power of hard work and resilience. After decades at the top of the game, Giggs has become a legend who transcended the pitch. His legacy is not measured solely by the trophies he won, but by the way he influenced the generations who grew up watching him play. He demonstrated that to achieve greatness, it takes more than talent. It takes passion, commitment, and, above all, character. Even now, years after his retirement, Giggs remains a beacon in world football. He is a mentor to young players, a respected voice in the game, and an example to us all that it is never too late to learn, grow, and change. And now, we thank you for following this incredible story to the end. Ryan Giggs, with his incredible career, has shown us that football is more than just a game. It teaches us lessons for life. If you haven't watched the previous video about the great icons of the Premier League, I highly recommend you do. It perfectly complements Giggs' story, offering a deeper insight into other athletes who have also made their mark and continue to influence football to this day. Don't miss it. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more inspiring stories from football legends. Thank you all and see you next time.